Rival have looked fantastic on LAN. Online, a little bit different. Why?
Okay, I am not as much on this online versus LAN train as everyone else seems to be with Rival. I think that there is a difference, but I think there's a difference with literally every team in the SPL. When you're next to your teammates, your communication improves, your energy improves, your focus, there's not a lot of distraction around you, you know, your mom's not yelling at you, whatever it can be. So every team performs better on LAN. Does Rival? Yes. Will they never win against Dignitas online? No. They just only got 2 games instead of a 5-game set against them.
First pick, Kamazot's. Rival looking to really put the ball in Ice Baby's hands. Kakullin's going to be picked up along the way for Obey. Whether that winds up in the jungle or the solo lane, we've yet to see. But pretty standard bans, I think, as Arlong Shen has selected. Artio, Terra, Hell, Scotty. I think we're getting used to seeing these 4 guys banned out.
Yeah, especially against Emilzy with the Hell. He's been playing it a ton in ranked. I know that Hell support, they really seem to like it. I don't know exactly where that Kakullin and Arlong Shen combination is going to go, but I imagine it's probably going to be Xaylia on the Kakullin as a character that he seems to like a lot. Yeah. And Arlong Shen feels like the better jungler to me, but both warriors can absolutely get the job done. Last week I was really impressed with Xaylia's ability to really control the rage on Kakullin. Yeah. That's one of the finer points about that character. And when it comes down to solo lane fine mechanics, that's something that Xaylia has prided himself on and made a name for himself in the Pro League via that sort of tendency. Raijin again. So can we retire the meme that he's dead, that he's bad? I mean, I can. Yes. Can Twitch chat? Probably not. Rat no boots. Probably not. I didn't think so, but this has been a discussion for a while behind the scenes. Mages banned out by Obey, supports banned out by Rival, and very briefly, I want you to sort of touch on why Raijin is back, why he's here, why we see him. He full clears the wave at level 2 by himself. The end. That's all he needs. At a competitive level, when clearing the mid wave is really important and how fast you can do it, Raijin has the best clear in the game, in the early game. He can also now only put 2 points into Percussive Storm and full clear archers all game long. So you don't have to worry about putting your points into that. You can instead put it into the Raiju, and then you got better team fight damage and still have your lane clear ability available with that one. Just really easy to build him for damage these days. And he still's got the best mage escape in the game, just not as good as it once was. We sort of see a dip in the mid game, and we'll talk a little bit more about Raijin as we get underway. I'm looking at Ra on the side of Rival, Wolfie on his signature Ra. He won't have that range advantage that we usually see him have because of the fact that there's a Raijin across the way. Issue or non-issue? Non-issue. In fact, so you can still try and snipe out that Raijin in the midst of his ultimate. Not as immobile as he once was in that Tychodrom's ultimate. So it's not going to be as confirmable, but still you can predict where he's going to jump away with that Thunder Crash. It's a little bit slower now. You could probably react with that snipe, especially with someone who's as well versed on the Ra as Wolfie is. I like this draft coming out from Team Rival because I think you look at this draft and you go, Kamazot's first pick, I mean, he's very good, but is Kamazot's truly worth the first pick? But then you look at the rest of their lineup, and none of these characters are really a threat. They're not gods that you're going to see, oh no, they first picked that Medusa, right? So you can afford to go he is the best pick out of the rest of these 5. I agree, and it's not only that, but Captain Twig loves this god. No one loves this god on Earth more than Obey's coach, Hazer, so that's true. You're going to already tilt him by taking it away from Obey. Is it because he looks like Hazer? I'm not touching that one, but you could say that he does, yes. Yeah, that's what I thought. Mid lane, you see Wolfie paired up with the junglers. So last set, oh, there's the blink forward. Nice little play coming out. Kala's missing everything though, so not really gonna be effective there. I like the idea though. Quick sprint from Emilzy makes it that much harder, and even if that stun would have connected, Prime likely lives at the cost of his purification beats. Yeah. Still chasing out that beads nice and early, especially against a character that's going to dive you into the tower. Kamazot's certainly something to look at. So we see a couple of different starts here. I began to talk about it with John Finch. Ataraxia chased underneath the tier 2 tower. You're really excited about John Finch. Yeah, I was just excited about Ataraxia.
That's
John Finch, though, did mention that I was onto something. The different starts are very interesting here. Why do you think we see the jungler start in the mid lane instead of the right side?
Well, the jungler starts in mid because they just assume that Deathwalker is going to get pushed under tower on the right side no matter what. And that's a correct assumption because between Kukulkan and Erlang Shen, you're not out-clearing them no matter what two-lane combination you have on Rival's draft. Now, I like what Rival does, though. Instead of putting Kalas in mid and allowing Deathwalker and Ice Ice Baby to get pushed down, they put Kalas on the left, knowing that Obey is going to let Ataraxia be on his own. Hui has the best early buff clear of all hunters because of how he can manipulate the ricochet to bounce off the geometry in the jungle. So you know Ataraxia is going to be alone. He's vulnerable to invades, and that's exactly why he almost died on that left-hand side this early. Now he's completely out of potions, so any chance he had of trying to box Vote is already out the window because Vote stole away the red buff. Ataraxia's behind on golden XP, and Vote has the pots and the buff. Ataraxia has neither.
We see a similar start coming out from Energy a lot of the time, wanting to stifle the solo hunter in that long lane. Very easy to do so. It's just that teams opt not to because of advantages elsewhere, but you can see right away Team Rival able to take care of that, wind up with both red buffs, Ice Ice Baby with one of them. Interesting choice as his speed buff gets invaded on the other side, so a little bit more powerful at the expense for a little bit of mobility.
And I like the fact that Emilzy hasn't come over to help out Ataraxia yet because Ataraxia is going to be behind right now, no matter if Emilzy is there or not. So you may as well let Ataraxia get this farm solo, let him try and catch up a little bit faster, and stick with Pretty Prime so that he can stay safe in that mid lane. Wolfie has been sharing this farm with Ice Ice Baby, so you don't have a worry of giving one player the solo farm in that mid lane and taking it from the other. Deathwalker's been the one getting solo farm with Captain Twig spending the majority of the time on the right-hand side of the map thus far.
And so understanding the ups and downs and spreading your loss, learning to lose gracefully is something that solo laners used to have to know. Now it's a part of the entire team's collective vocabulary, which is very important because it's about how you wind up as a unit, right? You win some, you lose some, you win some, you lose some. As long as you wind up net neutral or even positive, right? That's what you're looking for. It's and this is why we say that competitive environment is so much different than your ranked games or your casual games at home, is because
I was just thinking about that because if I did, you know, if you do that in your ranked games, your solo laner's crying because they didn't get their blue buff on time, you know what I mean? But in competitive, you can tell them, I don't care that you didn't get your blue buff because we're getting the enemy red and purple on the left. And there, joking aside, there is a lot of strategy there. Now, the fact that Team Rival drafted Osiris for Deathwalker into this composition of Obey, where Rival knows that Deathwalker is not going to be getting blues unless he steals it over the wall like he did right there, you're giving your solo laner that needs pressure no pressure. And I think this is an interesting choice by Rival to try and control the mid-game team fight and not so much the late game team fight. This is a dive composition from Rival. They want to get in onto Pretty Prime. They want to get in onto Ataraxia, and they'll just kind of deal with Twig and Zalia after they're done with those damage dealers.
And it also has to do with the players themselves. We'll touch upon that in a moment. Team Rival, nice and early, starting up on the Gold Fury, has advantage of, well, everything. And a quick pause going to come out as Obey Alliance respond. Talk about a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Next time on Smite Ball Z, we'll see what happens.
No, this is the SPL. I don't know what you just said, but it wasn't.
I thought I was doing an anime.
No. I was gonna. I couldn't even do it. I was gonna do what you usually do and call it a cartoon, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
What's the difference?
I mean, you know, you're the anime watcher. You know more than I do.
I do watch anime, but they've recently been changed to E-United.
Can we go back in game yet? No? Right. Well,
you totally mispronounced that word, by the way. That was all you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gold Fury here.
Got taken by Rival.
There you go. Secured. Nice.
You went to get a snack during the commercial break and it was gone. That's what. You know, you never do that as a kid, where you're like, man, I know my mom's telling me to eat, but. The cool
I don't know. I'm stopping you right there. First blood also goes the way of Obey Alliance. They're able to take down Kalas off screen right after that Gold Fury goes down. And that basically evens things out.
Basically even, but if Emilzy can take this opportunity to get ahead in farm, then it's going to end up in Obey's favor. because of the fact that Kalas wasn't able to farm during this time. Now, it does help out Deathwalker on that right-hand side, who fell behind because of the start that Rival has done and because of the start that Obey has done. That gold that Kalas lost by getting first blooded and gave to Obey is kind of gifted over to Deathwalker as a, hey, you know, you're doing a good job over there because you are getting bodied by the way Obey is playing. It's allowing us on the left side of the map to do things like take 5-minute gold fears.
Right, yeah, exactly. And, you know, that's what we're looking at. And I started to touch on it before where, you know, I was kind of curious. Osiris is a character that kind of needs the pressure, and they're just saying, well, deal with it. Part of that is also Deathwalker has proven to be sort of the MVP of this squad, and they're sort of putting faith into him that, like, you're going to get beat, but you're not going to get beat as hard as another Osiris player might play. That's why they're trusting him with this selection?
It's sort of. I think it's more that they just want to be able to insta-kill whoever they want in the back line. And Osiris, one of the harder warriors to peel away. You can't peel the 2, you can't peel the ult. If you try and group around him and peel him off of whatever backline damage dealer he's on top of, he's just got the Judgment Tether, and then you're all dealing less damage, and it can be difficult to deal with. I think that fits the composition a little bit better. Plus, even from behind, you can fight a little bit as Osiris. Most solo laners, if they're down half a level like Deathwalker is here, they've got no chance of boxing out the opposition in lane. Osiris can, and so even if you have an early deficit, he might be able to make it back on his own.
Obey Alliance grouped up here, now isolating Kalas. He's silenced out just a little bit. Nice bounce coming out from Ice Baby. Very adept at really being able to catch that Screech. Right side, though, Deathwalker looking to start the party. Surrounded, up and down, not going to hit anybody. Meanwhile, Wolfie dealing damage from the right side, but it's all about Raijin. Xaylia with the last hit brings down the solo.
And now Xaylia still chasing down the jungler, but realize he can't get him. He's stunned right next to that tower line. Good stun there by Kalas, but doesn't matter as Rival not going to be able to put themselves on the board. Beautiful Raijin ultimate by Pretty Prime. If you've forgotten what Raijin can do, AoE big damage is basically as much as does more than Rod this stage. And you also have that option to use the control. Use the first shot or 2 to pull in the opposition Deathwalker, and then just starts hitting him with the damage, all while staying safe from a distance. Really nice invade by Obey.
It's the last part that's absolutely key for me, Ryan, is the fact that you're safe at a distance. The ability to just provide all that damage from nowheresville. He's not even near the team fight, and he's just banging on those drums, tearing people down. That's what makes it so attractive for me.
And if Deathwalker just holds the ultimate there, Obey really can't afford to full commit to him in that scenario. Even if he hits that ultimate on the up-down, who's he hitting? Xaylia? Who cares? You're not going to be able to burst him off of just one route. There isn't a lot of hard CC to set up for Wolfie's ultimate, and that's a testament to how much Rival trusts him to hit these ultimates without setup. But setup can be nice, and especially on warriors that aren't going to have purification beads, that's a scenario where some sort of setup out of your jungler or out of your solo laner may have turned that fight in your favor.
A little bit. I can't look past the misplay on Deathwalker's part. I think that was way too aggressive for seemingly no reason. I don't think Obey are allowed to invade the jungle without winning that team fight, and I don't think that team fight necessarily needs to happen. I think Team Rival can just stare at Obey Alliance until they get bored of not farming, go back to their own tricks, and then Team Rival have their jungle back. I don't think that team fight needs to happen there.
Well, Obey is going to force that fight if Rival doesn't, because of the fact that Captain Twig has a level lead in that jungle. It wasn't 2 levels at that point. I think it was only 1.
It was just 1, yeah.
But he's still the warrior in the early game. Camazotz is sick all game long, but it's still not going to be able to handle the Erlang Shen in the early game. Plus, Pretty Prime had the penetration boots. Wolfie had only finished Book of Thoth, so you've got a little bit more pen and mobility on the side of Prime than Wolfie has on the Raw. So that's a fight that Obey wants to take. But when Deathwalker kind of serves himself up on a platter like that, it makes it a little bit easier. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, rough stuff either way. 2-0 for Obey Alliance. They're able to sort of solidify themselves a 1K lead. And
I don't know if it happened there necessarily, but that was kind of a preview of what can happen to these frontliners. Is Emilzy can drop the walls, and then Prime can actually taunt them in on top of the Zapper, strip away their protections, slow them, and then you're going to try and run away, and then he'll taunt you into it again, and it can proc multiple times. This is a really smart combination of the Ganesh and Raijin that may not seem super intuitive on the surface, but anytime you can force someone onto those Ganesh walls, that takes a lot of protections away from them and really sets up for not only Raijin, but even Ganesh and other damage dealers on the side of Obey to shred through those tanky frontliners.
also provides damage, and perhaps more importantly, the slow on top of the protection shred as well. So you're just giving people an opportunity.
Look at what Rival did here. As a speed buff spawns, they posture around the Gold Furies, expecting Obey to all in the speed buff invade, but everyone from Obey is on the left side of the map, except for Xaylia, who again is able to seal away that buff, securing it for Twig.
Yeah, Deathwalker, no chance there. Xaylia just patiently waiting on the side. There's the ultimate from Captain Twig. He's going to get in trouble, however. Heal comes out, should be good. Brings him back up to half HP. And now Team Rival, 4 players strong. Go ahead and secure that blue buff for their solo laner about the first time.
Almost a good play there by Deathwalker to find the ultimate, the Lord of the Afterlife, to shut down the healing from Captain Twig. Another reason we probably see those Osiris pick in the solo lane. But with Twig having purification beads and the sprint coming from Xaylia, just a little bit too much movement speed and survivability between the warriors to get Captain Twig out of danger. But look for Deathwalker to try and time that ultimate to shut down the healing from Captain Twig right before it goes off.
So again, vision being maintained by Team Rival on the Gold Fury here. I think the threat of the Devo Gloves Hunter pull is so scary, and you absolutely need vision control at least of this objective area in the early to mid game.
Well, Vote hasn't gone for the Devo Gloves. He went for Transcendence instead.
Ataraxia does, which is why it's important that Rival know what's going on there.
Sure.
Because Vote does not have that option.
Sure, and no one is saying in that Medusa kit at all. Bluestone Pendant, no Death Toll, really going to be relying on health potions. And Transcendence is excellent on Medusa because her abilities just plain hurt. I mean, it's not only Petrify, that's the one that really comes to mind when you think about Medusa abilities, but Viper Shot does insane damage. That first ability that not only gives you the auto attack steroid, but applies a bleed. It's insane. It's super strong. So I think the Transcendence is a strong pickup on Medusa still, but not having the ability to pull the Gold Fury. And now where is Vote going to go after this? That's the main question for me. Can be Aussie. Aussie did receive a buff at the same time the Devourer's Gauntlets did, so maybe we'll see that as a lifesteal penetration option. I don't think that would be a bad look for Vote here.
Do you think the lifesteal is necessary?
Hunter's played all of Season 4, except for the last month, without lifesteal.
Yep.
So it's definitely possible. Now, if he doesn't go for lifesteal, does Xaylia immediately say, okay, hi to the Nemean Lion right away to make sure that you're going to be doing a lot of damage to yourself, because going crit and no lifesteal can be kind of difficult to play around that hi to the Nemean Lion, but Xaylia's already past level 12, has already gone for Blink instead of Thorn, so you don't have to worry about that option necessarily. I think that Vote can get away with it, yes, but it's a risky call. Now, if it's Aussie just for the lifesteal and the penetration and attack speed, fine. You know, I think that's the good option here. I do not want to see him start the double stack, the Transcendence and the Devourer's Gauntlets.
No.
It just takes too long. You're delaying
That's not an option.
2 of your 3 Holy Trinity parts of the Hunter builds, which is the attack speed and light and pen.
There's going to be the ultimate landed with no setup, as you said, freehand. Pushing Pretty Prime way out of the team fight. Half HP, he's got to go back to base. Vote coming over here. And I mean, when it comes down to this Medusa build, I think Medusa is perhaps the best example of a mage hunter. We have ability-based hunters like the Ulers and the Neaths, but Vote's abilities are more AoE-based. They're very impactful. Petrify makes or breaks a team fight.
Without a doubt, one of the best Hunter team fight ultimates there is.
Yeah, and I mean, Acid Spray, just sitting safely doing that Fire Giant dance, and then just, you Acid Spray the front line, you're still hitting the back line if they're lined up. Yeah, Transcendence. I always, Jotun's Wrath winds up coming online too late for the Hunters to make real, actual use of it. For that reason, I'm a fan of the Crusher. But we can see he's going into Executioner and Chins, your choice?
Probably Executioner here. Cheaper, more effective at this stage.
Penetration is what he needs.
No one has enough health to make the Chin size passive worth it. Plus, you don't have any innate penetration, and the Chin size passive does get affected by protection, so you want to make sure that you can cut through those before it's calculating your Chin size passive proc. So Executioner would be the likely pickup here for Vote.
Yeah, so really no, the difference is Transcendence versus the Devo Gloves here. That's all we're really seeing on the Medusa. Ataraxia gonna say hi. Jump over. Nice avoidance of the basic shots.
Going back a little bit into that mid lane little skirmish, if you will, where Wolfie throws out the ultimate and
Already
only
has
hits
it
Prime.
back up.
I really like that ultimate from Wolfie. Not because it hits all by himself, but because if Kalas is able to find that hammer stun onto Prime with the blink over the wall, that was the idea. Kalas says, I'm blinking, aim for Prime. Wolfie throws out the ultimate, it hits just because, but Wolfie, no hesitation, and that's what you need. You have to just trust your teammates to hit their abilities, and if they don't, it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. It's more important that you trust and follow up instantly. That's how you become a top team.
Gold Fury started, half HP already, pretty prime up, primed and ready. Here comes the ultimate out of both Ganesh and the mid-mage, but it's all team rivals. Ice Baby goes down to the hail of percussive drums, but Kalas should be out of there. Nice stun. The beads are good. The blink forward is even better, but Kalas still alive for the moment.
But Pretty Prime used the beads there to continue that aggression when no one else was going to be able to close the gap. Rival secures the Gold Fury and because of a well-timed snipe from Wolfie. You can see just how comfortable he is on this Ra. But this time, instead of losing Kalas for it in the 4 or 5 minute range, you're losing your assassin, who's already a little bit behind at around 16 minutes. As long as Rival only give out this Portal Demon, it's probably okay for them. In net worth, they're going to end up on top, but Deathwalker's got to be careful.
Yeah, well, he's up there in no man's land all by his lonesome. A 5-player strong. The jump is nice. Sun's cut off his path to the right side. Taunted. Killed number 4 for Obey Alliance. Don't know what he was doing there, Ryan.
I like the fact that he ulted and then ran back towards the jungle because Ataraxia is obviously going to drop the Suns right there, but just a little bit too... I think that he was trying to think about stealing it, but decided that the rest of his team wasn't coming, not worth it. So Ataraxia steals away the speed buff, but now he might be a little bit of trouble. Blink forward from Kalas with that blink hammer, but Wolfie's the one who throws out the beads because of Emil's ult.
Yeah, I like how Wolfie didn't hesitate at all, though, to look for the escape. Kalas likely to die here and see silenced out. Wonderful play by the Ganesh player, but Wolfie just goes, I'm leaving. See you later. But one by one, the Lemmings are falling. Just Obey Alliance just catching Team Rival in too many bad spots. Vote's making the right play here.
Getting that tier 1 and left, 500 gold for Rival because of it. I liked the Rival gave up the tier 1 and right for the tier 1 and mid. That's a worth it trade.
Yeah.
The tier 1 and mid a little bit more valuable still at this stage in the game because Gold Fury is a little bit more likely to be pulled than Fire Giant, and so you want to get those left and mid towers down earlier, and they do that, but you lose a tier 2 in right, and you never want to trade 2 tier 1s for a tier 1 and a tier 2 because not only are you losing extra gold from the enemy team getting that tier 2, 1,500 as opposed to the 500 for a tier 1. Nice snipe by Wolfie, gets the oracles.
Confirm both of them.
But you are losing more map pressure as a whole because now you've got absolutely nowhere to run on the right-hand side. Plus, as this game gets later, Obey has less to worry about. If they start to take the lead, start to try and siege your base, they have to take less time knocking down the tier 2 towers, which take a little bit more time. So you never want to make that trade. But when that's your only option, Vote can't come to that team fight. He can't impact that. That was the next best thing. Get as many towers off the map as you can and try and keep it in it.
I don't even think the tier 2 tower on the right side was part of Obey's plan. I think that they got the dinosaur. They got down Ice Baby, who was just sort of out of position by himself. And with him and Deathwalker down, they go, look, nobody's coming. Just take it.
Exactly, no one can make it, and even if they did, those are still a couple guys who are healthy enough that can scrap underneath that tower. Twig is pretty tanky now with that stone cutting sword, as long as he can throw some auto attacks on top of you, and then working towards the Hide of the Urchin, which would be the 3rd Hide of the Urchin, completed by Obey Alliance, who have always just loved building tanky.
Yeah,
that includes Prime and Ataraxia. Well, Ataraxia does it begrudgingly, but Prime always seems to be right on top of it. These are always the guys who, the first to bring out the tank boots meta back in Season 3, I believe. Always ready to go with the tank items.
And so I love Urchin. I like Urchin. Don't know if I like it on the mid-mage. Now, the idea is that the Doom Orb is going to counteract whatever power you would let go of, right? 190 power fully stacked, so by going the tank item, theoretically you make up for it. We're going to have a fight here as Captain Twig kind of runs out on the right-hand side. Ultimate out of Emilzy. A little curious there. My question to you, Ryan, how real is this mid lane Urchin?
Real enough that 2 top mid laners in the world are building it in their SPL match, but I still don't think it's the best for the mid lane mage. But As they always say, when you're dead, your DPS is 0. If it keeps you alive, it keeps you alive.
Yep.
It works. I'm still not convinced it's super insane, but it's clearly good enough that it's working for these guys.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of where we're at right now. It might not be, I don't know. Sometimes things don't look pretty, but they're doing the job, and that's what we're seeing out of Obey Alliance. Certainly doing the job here. 6-0, 20 minutes in, and they've got a hair of a lead at 2,000.
Now, for Pretty Prime, I think it makes more sense because his team is controlling the team fights. They've got 6 kills. Rival has 0. The problem here is if Wolfie's team continues to get blown out, now it takes so much longer for him to get the damage to bring them back in. And without any stacks, the side of the Urchin is a waste of an item slot on your mid lane mage. It's not going to do enough to save you, and you're delaying your damage by a ton. So that's where I don't like it. In the lead, to keep the lead because you're already ahead because of levels, like it. Don't think I like it when behind.
Trouble for the guys on Team Rival as they're going to get collapsed on by the right side. Comes out the jungler. Nice little knock-up, and Cullen's done the dirty work. Wolfie unleashes the ultimate, but Captain Twig behind enemy lines gets pushed down into the trench. Vote with his first kill of the contest. Now Obey Alliance still pushing forward, trying to deal. Left side goes to jump, and Camazot's right in the air.
Xaylia still in that front line trying to handle a Rival and does so okay, but only 1 kill, and this time it's Rivals. Talked about the anti-heal in the Osiris kit, but how about the Lacerate anti-heal, shutting down that heal from Captain Twig, just a little bit too overextended from him. I liked the idea, pop the Horrific Emblem, which looks to be upgraded, so everyone's doing less damage to him, but when it's the 3 people surrounding you and 2 of those are damage dealers, even if they're doing less, they're still doing a lot.
Ooh, this is a risky call here by Team Rival. We got lucky last time. This time it's going to be just as good. Team Rival just take the Gold Fury in the face of Obey Alliance.
Wolfie was securing yet another one for Rival, and now Vote still so healthy, level 18. May want to continue the push, but with Prime sitting over that wall,
Vote.
This is a little bit dangerous. Still using this raw sustain, and I got to give credit where it's due. Early season 3, when Rival was playing under the Cyclone GG tag, they were that bottom end team that we always refer to as the team that stuck together and worked through it. Wolfie was one of the worst mages at securing objectives.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. They lost objectives like I lose my car keys. It was
Wolfie's a little bit too early right there. Rival still somehow secure the objective. Don't even know where that came from. But Azalea puts a double kill up there. Don't think that Portal Demon was worth it, Ryan.
Kala's probably going to fall here, so that's 3 in total. Definitely not worth losing 3. But Rival still have their 2 damage dealers alive. However, they both had to go back to base. Portal Demon is up, but Obey is going to pull this Fire Giant.
This is a smart call here. Only 2 players alive. I mean, this is objectively the yes call.
Now, Wolfie and Vote could come through that portal and really mess with it, but look at where Emilzi's standing, right in front of the portal, waiting to greet them. Nice call by Obey, you're right. Without a frontliner, so risky for those 2 to come through the portal, and Obey's able to claim the Fire Giant. Going back to what I was saying, though, Wolfie now is one of the best mages at securing objectives. Even in that last scenario on the Gold Fury, wherever it's getting low and he doesn't have ultimate, he's the one who's able to secure it with the Celestial Beam.
Yeah.
It's why he works so well on the Raw.
And you know, it's that's the thing, is that sure, you can't take 5 players and stick them together and just say, well, you know, synergy and team camaraderie, after 2 years they're gonna win stuff, right? No, that's not how it works. This team has, as a unit, gotten better. This team has big picture gotten better by way of strategy, etc., and macro strategy, and also individually have all generally improved. Don't forget, Collis was a substitute for Paradigm a year ago, and now here he is, you know, being captain of his own squad. This is all these guys. Like, Deathwalker was nothing to really smile about. Now, one of the fan favorites of the league. Individually and as a unit, Team Rival have really stepped it up.
Obey get the tier 1 tower in mid with this Fire Giant. Now looking for the tier 2. Deathwalker going to go in on a 2 with that Lord of the Afterlife, but Emilzi zones everyone away with that Dharmic Pillars.
I like the play on the back end coming out from Xaylia, separating the squad, but Obey Alliance going to group up one more time and look for their secondary initiation. Down come the Suns from Ataraxia, creating the space necessary to topple the tier 2 tower. Obey Alliance get number 10! Nice play by
Pretty Prime putting his body on the line.
Now Obey has a choice. Do they siege this mid Phoenix? That's what they're going to go for. 2 towers still in left, but with how low everyone on Rival is, no ultimates for any of them either. No way they can contest. Obey not only get the 2 towers in mid, but the Phoenix as well. And this is where this game really wasn't that far apart. I mean,
no.
Obey was up 2,000 gold whenever they got that Fire Giant. This is what makes FG so valuable. It gives you that extra bit of boost you need to take the team fights, but more importantly, take the objectives down. Getting that extra damage on them and that extra sustain so that you can stick around a little bit longer to take them down is what really sets teams up to end the game in their favor.
Rewind to that mid-Phoenix push. I think that is such an important big boy decision to be made there by these teams. Like you said, you have to calculate how low the enemy's health bars are in that moment. Team Rival are able to defend there if they're healthy. If you push up for that Phoenix, man, you're in trouble. You're probably losing a team member. That's a bad team fight. But if you can do the math is not the word I'm looking for, but if you can identify the HP values, and you have to make that decision in 1.5 seconds because you commit or you leave. That's high-end Smite.
That's how you do it. You got to have that guy who's always keeping an eye on the objectives, making sure that he knows exactly how much damage that your entire team has, and Obey's got plenty of it right now. Going back to this Height of the Urchin in the mid lane, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Now Prime has 6 stacks on the Height of the Urchin, and he is unkillable. No way anyone can get to him, and he's finished the Rod of Tahuti only 26 minutes in. Because he's ahead, it can work out. Now he's tanky, he still does the damage. Wolfie, on the other hand, is a full Rod of Tahuti behind,
right,
and 5 stacks on the Height of the Urchin. It just doesn't make sense when you're behind.
And again, as Captain Twig just eats up the dinosaur, big part of what makes this viable he has that Doom Orb to provide so much damn power, and he's not dying. 190 power. That's why this works. Excuse me, 100. Yeah. That's why this works. And like, you can forego the other power item.
Emperor's armor underneath that Phoenix.
40, excuse me.
Buffing it, or debuffing it from Emilzy as Wolfie's forced back. Still has that ultimate, so can make an impact from range.
Nice stun coming out from the Medusa player, and Vote's gonna look for the fences. Pretty Prime, however, just says, I don't care. Takes the Doubleune right there. Bad luck 13 on the kill charts, and Obey Alliance are able to push down that right side Phoenix.
Not looking for the end, though, because Wolfie and Vote are still up and healthy, and more importantly, they don't have a minion wave with them.
Right.
With Fire Portal coming up in any second now, Fire Giant spawning in less than 30 seconds pretty soon, that's the safer call. You still have that left side Phoenix. Titan would be pretty weak, but Ice Baby was respawning soon. They didn't have FG anymore. I like this more conservative call.
Uh-oh, Captain Twig here looking to eat again. But, hey man, Ice Baby got stack 1 on the Rangas.
Yes. Yes, he did.
But
at least it's less of an investment than the Height of the Urchin, right?
Yes, I will absolutely give you that. Ranga's Mask is interesting, and I'm glad to see it picked up a little bit more often as another Gold Fury goes the way of Obey Alliance, pushing their lead to about 10,000 gold. However, the Ranga's Mask, it's an early game item. Buying it this late is... So the idea that you buy it this late is because this is when the team fights are going to happen. I get it. But it's only been the 1 kill so far for Team Rival.
It makes sense, though, in a way, because Ice Baby is saying, look, I am gold starved right now. I can't complete any impactful items, and I'm not going to be able to get anything with this 500 gold. So let me buy this. On the chance that this team fight goes really well for us, this sets me up to have a better next team fight. It's the most gold efficient thing I can get right now, and if I sell it at the 260 gold boss, whatever it is, so be it. It's just the old pon strategy of I need stats and I need them now, so I'm just going to buy the starter item tree and see where it gets me.
Right now, Bay Alliance, all of this has gotten them to the mid-Phoenix. That one falls down without too much of a defensive set coming out from Team Rival. Left side, the focus one more time. No towers remaining, but Obey backing up just a little bit for the wave.
Obey is so difficult to fight against because they don't seem like they're doing anything insane, right? It's except for that triple bounce from Ataraxia. It's just, they just grind you out and then you wake up one day and you're down 8K.
That's where we're at here. 13-1, Obey Alliance up a whole dozen. Deathwalker trying to zone out the entire team, and Ice going to take out Captain Twig, who dodges a little bit too far. Damage from Wolfie coming from a mile away, but Ataraxia is the one taking down the frontline warrior. Still, trouble to deal with as Team Rival pushing forward, and the ultimates are down for Obey Alliance. There's Kamazoots on the back line, and Ataraxia is able to turn around, take him down, but the martyrdom kill for the Batman. Ice bites back.
Prime lurking. That Raiju can jump right to Vote and wouldn't quite kill him yet, but pretty close to it. Has to be careful, but Wolfie's back now. Won't be too much longer on that ult.
Jump forward is going to isolate Pretty Prime, half HP, unkillable, says you. Aegis is good for the moment, but Vote NBK comes on through. Raiju or not. Team Rival able to defend themselves. At least one Phoenix. That is a great look for Team Rival and their fans.
I don't know if Prime's actives just came up and he was spamming them as he stunned his chain CC'd there by Kalas, or if he was just thinking he was as unkillable as I did with that Hide of the Urchin. But if he had him way too long, if he didn't, unfortunate situation, but you just kind of can't step up in that scenario. Because even without ultimates, 30 minutes in, doesn't matter if Wolfie doesn't have Rod Up Tahuti, Vote has Executioner, Chin Size, Titan's Bane. You're not going to last long. You're not even going to survive through that stun combo without a lot of stacks of Hide of the Urchin, which he has. And he almost did. I mean, he was stunned for, what, 2 seconds there? From a late game mage and a late game hunter, and lived until he could walk away. So Hyde can definitely make a difference, but even with that, it's not going to let you survive standing still for that long.
Not quite. And with that death, the first death for the mage, I get to correct myself here. His 140 power on the Doom Orb goes down to 90. So glad I got to correct myself without anybody realizing it.
There you go. And now he's got some extra pen and CDR with that Spear of Desolation. Prime's really been using that ultimate for the utility. It's almost always been to peel for Ataraxia or whoever jumps on top of him or Nate on that backside. Now he can start using it for a little bit more damage, and he is whenever he has the opportunity, but Prime most of the time has been using those Taiko drums defensively, and that's really worked out well for them. Ataraxia was on the run at the beginning of that team fight, as was Pretty Prime, but because of the use of the ultimate, it lets them save both their relics, and then they can use them later on in that team fight whenever Rival just kind of assumes, yeah, we were right on top of them. They had to have used something there, right?
Well, I mean, Twig is always diving. He's diving all of the backlines. That is his job in this game, just making sure to really isolate the team from, unfortunately for him, it's kind of turning around on himself, and he finds himself in trouble a lot of the time.
There's the blink forward. Zalia finds 2 with that knockup. Ultimate drop by Emilzy as well. Wolfie all the way in the back, but Deathwalker, he's in a lot of trouble, has to use the ultimate just to get away.
Ataraxia is going to drop his as well, and sort of a reassessment of the situation. Players kind of saying, are we really doing this much damage? The Phoenix goes down, but nobody really willing to go too hard.
That was a sick snipe from Wolfie, and it may not look like it because he hit a couple frontliners, but he hit Ataraxia as well and forced out the Aegis. That was just a really well-timed Aegis from the Hunter from Obey. Otherwise, he likely would have fallen there, and this Portal Demon would probably be being done by Rival instead of Obey.
It's about spawned right now. You can see Rival coming up on the right and the mid lane, but with the attention of the minions, they're not going to really pay much attention to the Portal Demon. However, I do think they can fight for this Fire Giant. That's why you see them doing this right here. This is essentially the homework that they need to handle. Pushing up these waves, Fire Giant spawns in about 10 seconds. They'll be ready and waiting if they get this Gold Fury quick enough.
Obey pushing out, making sure that no one's waiting for this Fire Giant. Looks like Rival's okay with giving up their third of the game. And honestly, I don't mind this because they've done such a great job of defending whenever Obey has it. It clearly hasn't been too much of an issue for them. Obey got a lot off of their first Fire Giant because it just in towers and objectives and things like that. But the second Fire Giant didn't really do a lot for them. Rival starting to defend really well, and it's mostly because of Vote. Vote has played this game really, really well. 2-0-2, top of the player damage charts on this Medusa, and Petrify on a Phoenix defense is the ideal scenario. I mean, everyone's grouped up. There's a lot of hubbub going around. You can't see that she's charging it up, and all of a sudden you just get hit with a ton of damage and you're stunned. It's the ideal scenario for Vote, and he's been making it happen.
Absolutely, just plenty of damage as well. Look at that top damage. It's fun stuff. Very effective Medusa play. You can see he did go for the execution, then Shinsai to follow up. And then more attention to just the ability-based stuff, coming out with the Titan's Bane and the Shifter's Shield. 60 power on that item, just allowing him from a distance to be able to deal the damage if he's not able to nail the basic attacks that enable the Shinsai and the Executioner.
It's a big reason why he's been able to blow up Captain Twig so effectively whenever he dives that back line as well. Has so much pen.
Phoenix still being assessed, and here's the group up. Well, a lot of trouble for Deathwalker. Oh, have to be forced out of the team fight. Long range damage out of the mage, not going to be good enough, and Pretty Prime puts the drums away. But now Aegis is good for Wolfie, and Captain Twig takes down Collis. Bird still stands for the moment. Down it goes. Left side, shift over to the mid.
Deathwalker, no ultimate. He's going to go right into it. Pinned in place, and Ataraxia, perfect Suns there. Prime is going to get that kill. That's his 7th in this game, as the mid Phoenix gets cleaned up again.
Yeah, this one looks a little bit tough. Deathwalker down for over a minute. I think overestimating how tanky he was perhaps there. Obey Alliance 5 players strong, filtering into the throne room here. Silenced and pinned into the fountain. Titan goes down 17-4. Obey makes it look easy. Taking that Team Rival again.